All right, let's get right into it. Today we're unpacking a massive story that's echoing through the tech and financial worlds. We are breaking down Ronan Farrow's Pulitzer Prize-winning investigation into Sam Altman's leadership at OpenAI. For stakeholders, investors, or honestly anyone tracking the future of artificial intelligence, this is the moment those quiet Silicon Valley whispers turned into documented mainstream corporate intelligence. It's a heavy explainer, but an absolutely crucial one.
We've got a lot to cover, so here's our roadmap. 1. The investigative lens. 2. A timeline of leadership. 3. The transparency problem. 4. Financial and safety risks. 5. Geopolitics and AI power. And 6. Shifting public perceptions.
All right, Section 1, the investigative lens.
So, 18 months. Think about that. In the AI industry, 18 months is literally an entire epic. But that's exactly how long this grueling investigation took. It's a massive timeline, but it gave the journalists the runway to apply an incredible depth of scrutiny, pulling internal memos and private communications right out into the light.
And what really elevates these claims from just rumor to actionable intelligence is the methodology. We're talking over 100 interviews, direct colleagues, top executives, insiders who work side by side with Sam Altman. This isn't just outside speculation anymore. It's a massive data set of human testimony pointing to a very specific systemic pattern.
Okay, Section 2, a timeline of leadership. If we trace Altman's career, the sources allege a fascinating and honestly concerning chronological pattern across multiple organizations over a decade. The core issue? Presenting unachieved goals as completed facts. Look at his first startup, Loopt. His own staff reportedly went to the board twice trying to get him removed. Then, at the famous startup accelerator Y Combinator, partners complained about persistent misleading behavior, which allegedly forced him out in 2019. And of course, OpenAI, where the board temporarily ousted him in 2023. At every single stop, there's a documented history of severe internal friction.
To really grasp the internal executive consensus, you have to look at Dario Amati. He was a top researcher at OpenAI who eventually left to found a rival company, Anthropic. Well, Amati kept over 200 pages of private notes on his time there. His blunt assessment? He described anything Sam Altman says as, quote, almost certainly bullshit. The source even claims Amati caught Altman denying specific terms of a Microsoft deal while the signed documents proving otherwise were literally sitting right there in the room.
Then a former board member flagged this highly concerning behavioral risk. She described him as having an intense need for approval, but paired that with an almost sociopathic lack of concern for the consequences of misleading people. Now, if you're a stakeholder or an investor, combining those two traits, a desperate need to be liked and a willingness to aggressively mislead, well, that's practically the definition of leadership risk.
Let's move to Section 3, the transparency problem.
According to the source, things got so bad internally that OpenAI's highly respected chief scientist, Ilya Sutskever, built a 70-page dossier documenting these exact issues. The very first item on page 1 was reportedly the word lying. And the atmosphere of fear was apparently off the charts. Sutskever actually sent these documents to board members using disappearing messages because he was entirely terrified of retaliation.
Following that brief 2023 board coup where Altman was fired and rapidly brought back, an official inquiry was launched with the law firm WilmerHale. But the investigation claims this process was totally engineered to limit transparency. Think about standard corporate investigations. They yield massive paper trails. This one, zero. No written report whatsoever, just oral briefings delivered to a hand-picked audience of new directors who were already friendly to leadership.
All right, Section 4, Financial and Safety Risks.
The report heavily contrasts OpenAI's public safety commitments with what was allegedly happening behind closed doors. Altman publicly promised that 20% of the company's computing power would go to a super alignment team focused on existential AI safety. The reality? Sources claim they got a tiny fraction of that, were stuck using outdated hardware, and the team was ultimately dissolved completely. Astoundingly, when journalists asked the PR team about existential safety, they reportedly didn't even know what the term meant.
And the specific safety allegations on product rollouts are just wild. The report claims Altman straight-up fabricated safety board approvals directly to directors' faces regarding GPT-4 features. It alleges the India Chat GPT rollout entirely bypassed the required safety reviews. He even allegedly invented fake sign-offs from the company's own general counsel to silence internal questions. Plus, beyond safety, there are deep financial questions here. Look at Sora, their heavily hyped video tool. It got quietly shut down within 6 months due to massive resource strains and a lack of user interest. That kind of rapid, costly pivot suggests a potentially fragile financial foundation sitting beneath all that hype.
Section 5. Geopolitics and AI power. This is where the scale gets massive, mapping out an incredible acceleration of political events. Altman was reportedly building a close relationship with Sheikh Tahnoon of the UAE to build out massive AI infrastructure. Initially, the Biden administration blocked the UAE from getting advanced AI chips, citing national security concerns. But then, the timeline abruptly shifts. 4 days before the new administration takes office, a massive investment is made. Following the inauguration, those previous chip blocks were entirely lifted. Let's zoom in on that financial pivot. According to the source, just days before the Trump administration took office, Sheikh Tahnoon secretly purchased a $500 million stake in World Liberty Financial. Of that total, the investigation claims $187 million was routed directly to Trump family accounts. Shortly after the inauguration, the new administration announced a massive AI infrastructure project and agreed to sell the UAE 500,000 advanced AI chips annually, clearing the exact roadblocks that were previously in place. Domestically, the investigation documents a massive shift in defense contracting, too. When the new Defense Administration allegedly demanded AI companies drop their restrictions on using technology for autonomous weapons and mass surveillance, Anthropic reportedly drew a line in the sand, refused, and lost government contracts. OpenAI, on the other hand, allegedly stepped in immediately to fill that void, accepting the defense contracts and signaling a massive shift in how this technology is going to be deployed globally.
Finally, Section 6. Shifting Public Perceptions.
Internal emails from OpenAI's communications chief actually revealed a deliberate step-by-step PR playbook. When negative investigations or boardroom dramas surface, the strategy isn't to address it, it's to immediately distract the public. Step 1, bad news drops. Step 2, create a high-impact news moment. Step 3, execute a steady drumbeat of shiny new product announcements to turn the page. It is a highly calculated machine engineered to outpace scrutiny.
We also see this stark contrast in their legislative behavior. The source notes that while Sam Altman was publicly testifying before Congress, practically begging for AI regulation, his company was doing the exact opposite in private. Behind closed doors, OpenAI allegedly successfully lobbied to weaken European Union oversight efforts and actively fought a California safety bill, even allegedly issuing private threats to legislators, despite the fact that the bill contained the exact provisions Altman was publicly advocating for.
So, what does this all mean for us? The source material strongly points to a 2026 IPO on the horizon. As an investor or a stakeholder in the future of our digital infrastructure, you have to ask yourself, will this new level of mainstream, Pulitzer-backed journalistic accountability finally force true structural transparency and real safety standards at the world's leading AI company? Or will the well-documented corporate hype machine and massive financial incentives simply power right through the noise? It's a question that's going to define the next era of technology. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.